welcome back. Good to see you again.
Glad you're joining us.
As excited as we were to bring you the last episode, bringing the motorhome home, this one we're not so excited about because that's where the fun ended. Man, that morning started off special.
It was special.
It was really special. And
it was in our driveway.
Okay, well, we have to apologize for not filming when we got home yesterday with the motorhome, but it's the next morning. And we did not film because I think we were just having too much fun playing. And now it's like 6 in the morning. The sun's not even up. And we opened the garage door and found this. We're like kids on Christmas morning. I couldn't stay in the bed. The sun's not up. We got the kids are sleeping, and Mom and Dad are out here playing. So come on in with us. Just having a great morning. But as I sat down with my cup of coffee,
it started raining.
All right, Cindy's already in here. This doesn't seem to have a light on. Okay. We really are at an angle.
Yeah, we are.
So, all right, we're in. Where else do you drink your coffee on the first morning that you own a motorhome? You have it in a motorhome, right?
What time?
Yeah, I did. So, I don't know if you can see, but there's the missus. Just woke up.
I had my cup of coffee.
Started to rain outside.
Which was fine, but as I'm sitting there, I heard drip, 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 drip.
And she said, shh, and she was hearing dripping.
Yeah.
And
so
it took like a split instant for us to regret not having got an inspector.
Yeah, I know we're gonna hear it.
Did you think about it that quick? I thought about it that quick. I was like, oh.
I know.
Because anybody that spends any amount of time on the internet researching, like the number one deal, the number one horror story for buying a used RV is hidden water damage.
Guys, but if you would have seen us, you would have thought we were ridiculous. We were hitting walls. We were knocking on walls.
Yeah, we opened every cabinet.
We were like,
we had the end of a screwdriver, and like we're tapping the wood in every corner.
We were crazy.
I mean, we went through it thoroughly.
I mean, it was insane.
But our very first experience with it at home was water coming through. It was the window behind where she was sitting, the passenger window in the front. Our hearts sank. I mean, your mind starts wandering really fast. It's like, oh my goodness, the whole thing is about to fall apart in the driveway. That's what I thought. That's where your mind goes. It was dark 30, so we couldn't like even call anybody, and we had bought the motorhome used from a dealership, and it's as is, right? The thing was 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
So
this is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing to say. When the dealership opened, I made the phone call, and right away they said, bring it in.
Bring it in.
And I didn't know, like at the time, like is this going to be on our bill or on their bill, or what's the deal? Because really, you know, as is, but you do expect it to like make it through a day, right? And they took it from there. They had our brand new motorhome back at the dealership, which is maybe the number 2 thing that you hear folks online talk about
the
is
horror stories of
you bring it back and you don't see it again like for a long time.
And we're like, oh my goodness.
We picked it up in October, beautiful camping weather here. We had plans to use it, and it went back to them. But they took a look at it. They did some more caulking, called us within a couple of days, I think, and we had it back. We sat it out in the rain again, And again, drip, drip, drip. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. It's embarrassing. It was my stomach. I had to take antacids, and so we called them again. And again, they said, bring it back in. And I think we did that
3 times.
You know, a lot of times you have a drip, you go up, you do a little caulking, you fix a seal, and it's done. And that wasn't happening. So they told us that they were going to put their best man on the job.
Yeah.
And they did. And we got this guy's cell number. He had our motorhome. We had his cell number. He continued to test it, and he wouldn't let us pick it up until it rained, because it wasn't leaking when they put hoses on the roof.
Nope.
We went through kind of a long process, and he would call me every couple of days and say, hey, this is where we stand, just waiting for it to rain. And short story, well, it's not short, it's already...
I mean, didn't they even take the windshield out? They took the windshield out.
No, I don't think they took the windshield out, but they did, yeah.
They took the windshield
out. They did. They took the windshield out. They completely removed the awning. They pulled both the ACs.
Because that's kind of, the awning is where typically the
the bolts
begin.
that hold the awning to the...
Yeah.
They took, I mean, they had the entire window where it was leaking. They had that all apart. They were doing everything they could possibly do. Now, at this point, October was gone. We were into November.
Yeah.
This became like a couple of month project. When their best guy was on the project, he sent it back home with us thinking he had solved it. And we came back home and leaked again. That was like the 4th time. And at that point, I was so frustrated. I just pulled the window frame off myself, and I started poking around. And as I started poking around, I was finding rotted Luan, rot in the, although it's all aluminum framed, the windows have a radius, and those radiuses are cut out of wood. Those were rotted. But at that point, you know, I kind of cracked some of the Luan back, the rotted stuff that was going to have to be changed anyway. And I pulled back at it, and it ends up back at the dealership for the final go-round. And one day he calls me, and he sounded different than other days. And it was one of those, I think he used the words. He just said, we found the problem. And that's always good to hear, because up until then, for a few months, we were just kind of trying everything we knew to try. And when he called and said, we found the problem, boy, did that feel good. So I show up at the dealership, and he proceeds to walk me to the rear of the coach, 36 feet away from where the leak was. And he said, you know, we found a missing screw in the gutter. And these gutters are held on with this screws that go into the aluminum tubing that makes up the frame of the wall. And so if the screw is missing, you have a hole that goes directly from outside into the inside.
It's like a straw
of your frame. Yeah, like a straw. There you go. So he said when he put compressed air in the hole, he had a guy on the front end where the leak was happening, and he said it started playing a tone like a flute. And what was happening, if this is the top sill of the wall of the coach, the hole's back here, the leak's up here in the front, and water would get into the gutter, fill up enough that it would go into the hole. It would follow through the aluminum channel 30-something feet all the way to the front, and that top piece ended right above that passenger window.
Above the window.
And it would drip down there. So it would only happen when we were nose low. It was just one of those things. Tracking it down, you were on a wild goose chase, and they spent, I wouldn't even guess at the number.
I don't know.
A lot of hours. They spent a lot of hours on trying to find the issue, And sure enough, they did. This was at no expense to us. And we felt that was, you know, wow. Yes, it was fair, but it really wasn't, they weren't obligated to. And I feel like they just did the right thing. They stepped up and did the right thing. We've now purchased from them twice, and we won't hesitate to purchase from them in the future.
Or tell others.
Yeah, or tell others. We've had a really fair experience. I don't want to call it a good experience because it was a lot of frustration.
It was kind of scary. It was scary.
It was scary. So I got to thinking, knowing the history of this coach, with only 9,800 miles, and a lot of folks will tell you, you find something with that low of miles that's that old, there could be problems just based on not being used, right? And I think that's kind of what happened here. The first owners lived about 200 miles away. The coach obviously sat. They might have put that 9,800 miles in the first year, and then it sat for 6 or 7 years. The fasteners up on that gutter over time just got kind of corroded and brittle, and when they drove the 200 miles to trade it in, things started shifting, and when they shifted, those brittle screws just popped out.
Broke off. Yeah.
Broke off, yeah, because we did find one or two others that were broken.
in the gutter.
Yeah, and so that's what happened. Now, the way they fixed the problem, first of all, they fixed the hole, but second, they removed the cabinets out of the motorhome, the overhead cabinets. They cut the Luan wall in places that would be behind cabinets that you wouldn't recognize. They cleaned out everything inside, made sure there was no mold issue. Put a new wall back on with matching wallpaper. Put the cabinets back in. Most of the seams are behind cabinets. We know they're there, and I haven't even looked at it again. I mean, it looks great. And knock on wood, we have not had that leak resurface again in hundreds of nights of use.
We're very thankful.
Very thankful to Adventure Motorhomes, and happy that
Thank you, Adventure Motorhomes.
Happy that we chose you guys.
Yes.
We really were this close to a major disaster. Purchasing through a good dealership saved us. And you know, I like to get a bargain as much as the next guy, and maybe shopping on a private party sale.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I knew the market pretty well. We couldn't have done greatly different on the price, but one thing I know we wouldn't have had through a private party sale is we would not have been able to pick up the phone and bring it to someone. And I'm telling you, after all that repair work was done and all the troubleshooting that it took, that could have been thousands of dollars to us. And it wasn't. And so we're just...
Why do you buy through a dealership?
That would be the reason.
For such a big purchase like this.
Yeah, I think. So all's well that ends well. In the next episode, we're going to be taking you on our very first camping trip, our local shakedown trip. And in that video, we're going to give you some of our thoughts after having spent a few nights in it.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.